So I came across this story quite a while ago, and it's one of those stories that has always stuck with me over the years, so today I'm going to take a stab at giving it a go. Christine was an American television news anchor who gained notoriety after a tragic incident during a live broadcast in 1974. Her legacy has sparked endless discussions about broadcasting ethics, media ethics, and mental health. Today I will be discussing who Christine was, the events leading up to her death, and the live recording itself, which has never been shown to the public. This is Lost Media, the story of Christine Chubbuck. Christine was born in Hudson, Ohio in 1944 to parents Margaretha Pegg and George Fairbanks Chubbuck, and was one of 3 children. In her early years, Chubbuck went to Laurel School for Girls in Shaker Heights. She wasn't exactly a popular student and showed some signs of depression early on in her life. Other students claimed she had a very self-deprecating sense of humour, often joking about how she couldn't get a date. She even formed a club for reject girls who couldn't get a date on Saturday nights, called the Dateless Wonder Club. Despite this, Christine was a smart girl, and she did well in school. She was also the flute player in the school's marching band. Sadly, over the years, Christine's mental health didn't improve, it only got worse. Her parents spent over $700,000 on psychiatrists and psychologists to help her find peace, and her brother Greg believes, looking back in hindsight, that his sister suffered from bipolar disorder, as well as depression. He said, "If you are treating someone for general depression and they have bipolar depression, they actually get worse. So with that in mind, you can imagine my parents' 20-year odyssey to try and help my sister understand why she didn't look at the world the way everybody else did. While very expensive, did not turn out to be fruitful. That never made my parents give up on my sister or quit loving her. Her 2 brothers adored her. My wife at the time and my little girl just worshipped my sister, and none of that made any of the outcomes change." After her stint at Laurel School for Girls, Christine moved on to Miami University, where she majored in performative arts before completing her degree in broadcasting at Boston University in 1965. Despite all of her hardships, Christine had grown up to be a hard-working, talented young journalist with a dark sense of humour and the world at her footsteps. Her dating life through this period of her life continued to be difficult. When Christine was 16, she had lost her first boyfriend in a car accident, and her only ever boyfriend after this was when she was 21, but the relationship was short-lived. Christine began her career in journalism in the late 1960s. She worked as a reporter and anchor for several local television stations in Ohio and Florida, and she quickly established herself as a dedicated and hard-working journalist. Her first job in the industry was with television station WVIZ in Cleveland, and for the next 6 years, she bounced around different jobs in the TV industry before finally landing her big break at WXLY-TV in Florida. Although initially hired as a reporter, she quickly worked her way through the ranks and was given a community affairs talk show called Suncoast Digest. The program, which premiered at 9 in the morning every Saturday, highlighted local events and included subjects such as drug use, alcoholism, and other taboo subjects. She was passionate about her job and good at it too, but sadly, she was the only one that couldn't see this. Greg, her brother, told local news that she always doubted herself. She never thought that she was good enough, despite what she had accomplished at such a young age. He said, "She was very gifted and never felt like she was good enough, and she was constantly doubting herself. And I mean, doubting herself. And she would come out of it, and she would be better, and we would think with all the outside help with the professionals, maybe this would be the time she would get her wind and be fine. But it just never really happened completely for her. It is a really sad, tragic circumstance." Her family did everything they could to support Christine. Her mother was constantly buying her expensive designer dresses so she would look good on air, and her grandparents made sure to tune into every one of her shows. Although she loved journalism, she was frustrated by the sensationalism and lack of substance in the stories she was required to cover. She felt that her station was more concerned with ratings and shock value stories than informing the public, and she longed to do more meaningful and impactful work which didn't just revolve around blood and guts. From the outside looking in, Christine was a young, successful journalist with everything going for her, but she still wasn't happy. According to her mother, the ultimate driving force of her depression was her struggles in connecting to others and loneliness. Reports state that Christine Chubbuck had a difficult time finding romantic relationships and may have struggled with unrequited feelings for a co-worker. Sources suggest that Chubbuck had feelings for George Peter Ryan, a co-worker at the TV station. These feelings were not mutual, and her attempts to show this failed. This was because he was dating another news reporter in secret, who was actually Christine's friend. When she found this out, it crushed her. Although Christine desperately needed a close friend, co-workers who tried were often pushed aside and believed Christine was rude. While a failed love interest or unrequited feelings may have contributed to her struggles, it's unlikely to be the sole cause of her depression. Another possible factor was the high-pressure nature of her job as a television news anchor. Chubbuck was known to be a serious and dedicated journalist who was committed to providing quality news coverage, but she may have also felt overwhelmed by the demands of the job. Her brother noted that she constantly worked and wasn't paid well. She often wanted to cover stories other than blood and guts, but she wasn't allowed to. Another thing worth noting is that Christine desperately wanted to have a family, but a year prior to the incident, she had to have half her ovary removed and was told that she only had 3 years left to get pregnant. Time was running out. That morning was a beautifully sunny day in Florida, and Christine had breakfast with her mother before heading off to work. She told her mother that she would be back before 11 AM and seemed in a mysteriously good mood. She got to work and asked the technical director Linford Rickard if she could tape the show. She then told director Gordon Galbraith she was going to open the show with a newscast. Chubbuck read over items from the national news for 8 minutes before turning to a local story about a shooting that had occurred the day before. Continuing to look into the camera, she then said, "In keeping with Channel 40's policy of bringing you the latest in blood and guts, and in living colour, we bring you another first," and attempted. She then pulled out a revolver and shot herself behind the ear. She violently fell to the floor whilst cameras faded to black. At first, many of her colleagues thought that this was a prank and were furious at Christine. But this was no prank. Shocked audiences at home were confused, with many of them calling the police. Emergency services arrived within minutes, and she was rushed to hospital, where she passed away 14 hours later. Her mother and 2 brothers were at her side when she died at 11:15 PM. At the time of the incident, she was only 29 years old. The days following the incident, Christine's story was the talk of the nation. The story was covered extensively by the media, both locally and nationally, and it sparked debates about mental health, the responsibilities of the media, and ethics of broadcasting. Some people saw Chubbuck's suicide as a desperate cry for help, whilst others saw it as a shocking and disturbing act of violence. The footage of Christine's incident during the live broadcast has never been publicly released, and its whereabouts remain unknown. No copies of the video have ever appeared, and her brother Greg has worked to make sure that the tape never gets leaked. Once the police arrived, they took the tape, but it was returned 2 days later. There are a few theories as to where it is. The first was that it was given to Robert Nelson, the station owner. When he passed away, it is rumoured that his widow gave it to a large law firm for safekeeping. After being questioned about this, she said that it would never be released. Some reports suggest that the footage was destroyed, whilst others suggest that it may still exist in a private collection, or in the archives of the station or law enforcement agencies. It was also rumoured that the tape was handed over to her mother afterwards. The most likely scenario is that it was handed to a law firm for safekeeping. In 2021, audio of the incident was leaked to the public that many believe is real. I can't confirm or deny this, as I can't bring myself to listen to it and won't show it out of respect for her family, especially Greg, who has tried to get the audio recording taken down. From what I have read, it is likely that the audio is real. The incident remains a significant and tragic event in the history of television news, and has always been a story that has stuck with me. I feel for Christine and her family, and the story is a reminder of the value of empathy, compassion, and understanding in our relationship with others. I will note that Christine knew her grandparents wouldn't be watching her show that day, as they had a doctor's appointment, in case anyone was wondering, as I did mention they watched all of her episodes. This is a form of lost media that needs to stay lost, and personally, I hope it's destroyed, and the audio that was released was fake. I hope if any of Christine's family come across this video, you have managed to find peace. As always, thank you for watching, and remember in the comments to be human and be respectful. Rest in peace, Christine. Thank you for watching.